Yet again, I had bested a troll in single combat by using the power of logic, my sword, and my fist. I did not even have a sword, but still I used it. For I am an alchemist, of the highest variety, a swordsman alchemist. With alchemy and swords, I would triumph. I walked into the bar to find free booze. Who could deny such a great thing? I also found clothing like the one that I had worn. Clearly this must be the house of my distant relative. So I quickly looted their valuables and moved on. Having not found another suitable source of light, I used the glow generated by my healing spell to move through the darkest corners of this house. Finding some gold and tongs and a copper or ruby ring on the top floor, along with fur greaves and a scroll of bloodline, I was quite content to finish my garb of a hunter warrior. With proper fur leather armor, my bronzed skin would finally blend with the leather. Plus these pants look a lot better now that I have something to cover my fat, some belt. Oh, I'm so fat. Oh, thank God this game did not have mirrors, or else I would surely develop an eating disorder. You know what? I refuse to eat. I'm not gonna do it. Fuck it. I am gathering these mushrooms for my children so that when I return home I can tell them of a fantastical voyage into this faraway land that I took. And yet another troll was discovered atop the stairs, guarding a skeleton and some red mushrooms. I figure the trolls must feed on the mushrooms, the fungus decay being most like the stench that came from their bodies. These red forms of mushrooms seem to grow upon anywhere that had wood. I imagine that they would decompose the lumber over time and cause a giant collapse of the entire system. Functioning as though it may be, it is abandoned, so no civilians would be harmed. Not that I care. Oh, yeah. Another troll snuck up behind me whilst I was in single combat with troll LinkedIn number, I would guess 12. Probably more. Yeah, I would guess more. My guess was wrong. I, as an alchemist, felt a sudden compulsion to grab every potion within the room, and made my way back to fight the troll, which was in locations unknown. I found these trolls to be horridly inaccurate with their hands, completely worthless as proper opponents in combat. However, I also found myself able to throw them overboard into the dark abyss, never to see them again. Perhaps that would rid me of their foul stench. The second troll who I had been fighting had somehow disappeared. I also saw no other way through except to continue forwards to where this man lay, and rob him of his gold before mercilessly tossing him down the shaft. As I saw him fall, I doubted whether I would emerge from this alive. However, the game designer had clearly led me to this point by putting a torch right next to it. A torch which I could not pick up. So, after quick saving using my magical alchemical powers, I fell down the rabbit hole after the corpse. hoping to land upon his soft, cushiony remains and save my kneecaps from shattering. The corpse seemed to have mysteriously disappeared. I didst find a most rottenest creature, made entirely of human skin. I can only assume this is the work of some sick surgeon, trying to make a human type of insect, perhaps a centipede. As I saw more and more mushrooms, I felt my compulsion to gather them strengthen, until I could no longer resist. Finding more free booze in the mine, it made me doubt whether the miners left of their own accord, for no man in his right mind would leave behind booze. Booze, boobs, and balls. The manliest things always start with a B. I found one of these rotten creatures alive. The smell was putrid. I could barely get close to it long enough to slash the thing. In addition to that, it seemed to be made entirely of stitches, but ended up being much harder to kill than I would have expected something made entirely of stitches to be. It must have had some sort of a durable metallic undercoating, perhaps a complex polyplastic polymer. For certainly this thing was much tougher than a troll. And I mean, bloody trolls live in caves. How can this little mound of sewed together flesh be stronger than the most worthy opponents that I have yet faced in my life? I did not know. I also did not know how these things could survive with a mere feather of skin upon them. I was also quite curious as to who would value skin at 5 gold. Honestly, what would you need skin for? You have plenty of your own. These sick necrophiliac fucks trying to make their own blow-up dolls out of skin. Sometimes I can't believe the perverse world of weird fetish pornography that I had been thrust into. More mushrooms. I must gather them. My liege commands me. Whilst gathering mushrooms, I spotted a fire with a man next to it. And quickly a corpse that was charred over the fire came to life, still burning. I figured that a body that had been burned and is now on fire again would not be that hard to deal with. However, I was quickly proven wrong, for this world clearly did not operate by the parameters of logic which I had set before myself. For this burning foe was even harder to kill than the mounds of flesh of which he was made. Somehow the fire must have hardened him, like iron, which hardens with every reforging. I also found he had the power to walk right through me, and swing his arm wildly in an attempt to dazzle me. Coming near him, I felt no heat. Clearly, this must be the work of some greater evil than I had ever known. This battle was dragging on. I felt my endurance waning and my health getting low. I had no choice but to run while casting healing spells, to try and light my way. Frickin' hate it when spiderwebs go in your face. Worst feeling in the world. I found that this fiend could not clear a rock, so I quickly took advantage of it and got several swings in, at his expense. I found that this was quite a strong fiend, much stronger than the mounds of flesh which had burned to make him. Perhaps the stitches had fused and reinforced him with an Kevlar underbody carbon fiber made of Super 2034 steel nuclear weapon carcass skeleton. He was also quite quick and persistent in charging me. This thing seemed to want my death, for no apparent reason whatsoever. He also had the propensity to teleport and walk right through me on several occasions. I found that he was made of coal, which would explain why I had such great I fucking hate spiderwebs. Propensity. Let me just slash through this one. Okay. The propensity to. It was made of bloody coal. I should have used my mind pick. I knew it. I used one of the healing potions in my possession to restore myself back to a non-terribly bleeding state. Because that asshole had torn me a new one, somehow rising from off over the fire. And then proceeding to teleport all over me. Ugh. I must smell like I smoke now. What will my wife think when I get home? Well, as long as I don't smell like weed, I think I should be able to talk my way out of it. Another one of these rotten creatures lay upon my path, as well as more of these delectable mushrooms. I saw a strange rune glowing in the shape of a letter U on a stone. I took it, and received for it a little pop-up that said I got 100 experience. Sweet. I advanced through the cave further, gathering more and more mushrooms, like a runaway car gathering momentum. These mushrooms were truly addicting. Their spores made me jiggly inside, and I loved carrying them in my backpack just for the sole thrill of it. I found more scrolls which would enable me to perform great spells of magicness on the ground. Shit! Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, work that one out a little bit. My record key ends up being the same as my quick save key. Quite annoying. I did not expect that to happen. Anyways, I found 2 more trolls greeted me beyond 2 planks that creaked ominously as I walked across them. These trolls were much easier to kill. I could slay them in several blows. Perhaps I had gotten stronger. Or perhaps the trolls had gotten weaker. Blinded by my beauty and majestic might, they fell before me like simple mosquitoes swatted aside with my horse switch. Sure. I found a new type of mushroom, blue and delicate like a woman's body, that I could caress with all of my might. Also, more trolls ensued. These trolls were really getting on my nerves. There were so many of them, and they were very unkind. So unkind, in fact, as to murder a monk for whom I could do nothing. Except maybe remove that robe. What do I need a monk robe for? Screw it. I decided not to take the monk's robe and leave her garbed. After all, it is quite indecent to caress a woman's body after talking about her body as if it were a mushroom, or a mushroom as if it were her body. It is also uncool to mention that your uncle is a registered pharmacist. Uncool for the whole family. There was a door here, but it was locked. However, next to it were more mushrooms, so I couldn't care less. Mushroom picking had become my new hobby during my brief half-hour stay in this cave. And I could think of nothing that would delight me more than picking mushrooms. As I walked further down this bridge, I found a body impaled on top of a post, as well as the world, or the ceiling on top of me, giving way. If I were a little bit taller, I could be a baller, and I could reach these mushrooms and that dude up there, but I can't.